Oh, very good morning to all my Year 6 students. So, welcome to your virtual clinic to science. This time around, we'll be focusing on the topic of feeding relationships. Okay, so I was wondering, which topic we should revise is feeding relationships because throughout your whole Year 6 experience and as well as your checkpoint exam, many of the questions would be bits and pieces from this topic because it is very important and it will continue to be important throughout even in your secondary life. So why not we do this as a topic for revision? Okay, we did learn feeding relationships last month. I'm sure many of you will remember. Do you all remember or not this topic? Okay, very good. Okay, so are you ready, class? Okay, are you all ready? Okay, let's go. Okay, so let's begin with the objectives, the most important part. Like, okay, what do we want to get from all this is that we want to revise the important definitions. Okay, definitions is very important in science, as all of you know. Scientific terms always come with a meaning, and the specific and accurate meaning is what carries and gives out the difference between a good student and a student that does not really pay attention. So having to recall and revise definitions is a way to go. Okay. And number two, we would understand the concept of food chains and food web. You'll be wondering, alamak, teacher, I already know lah what is food chains and food web. But always remember, class, okay, what is important in this concept is what is going to be highlighted here. So like I will show you the way onto which is actually much needed to grasp on so that you won't be wasting your time looking through things that you don't need to. So let's all study smart rather than studying hard. Okay, dear students. Okay, shall we? Let's go. Okay, let's begin with a few terms that we are already okay with, which is these terms that we've already gone through when we did this topic. But let's revise on the specific definitions for each of these terms. Okay, number one, we will understand and also revise what is feeding relationships. Okay, number two, producers. Number three, consumers. Number four, decomposers. Okay, so all these terms, as I've already highlighted here, is definitely very important, in exam, not only in exam, by actually understanding how does the ecosystem work, how an environment can thrive by itself. It's more than just in exam. Like only when you understand basic concepts like this, you will tend to look at the ecosystem in the bigger picture. So, shall we, class, my little scientists? Okay, first and foremost, okay, feeding relationships. I think based on these topics are like feeding relationships, it's quite obvious that it is what eats what. Okay, it's what eats what. Always remember, again I repeat, feeding relationship is what we describe as what eats what in any environment. Okay, like you see in this picture here, I put here a picture, right? Okay, lions are actually having the feast of their life by eating a poor monkey here. So like in the wild, you see, animals, they always have a very unique relationship. For example, prey and predator. Like for sure, animals, there would be animals that are more dominating in any environment, like as small as a garden to even as big as the safari. So in these environments, feeding relationship is very obvious when we actually observe. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say the ocean. Okay, it's quite how to say known, a common knowledge that sharks, they are very dominant and they are definitely at the top of the food chain in the ocean. Okay, so small fishes will definitely be their prey. Okay, so this is a very simple example of a feeding relationship. They feed on small fishes, and small fishes maybe feed on plankton. So you see, like, not knowing, we already created one simple food chain, and this is what describes what eats what in any environment, you know? Okay, so it is also important to show how all parts of an ecosystem are related, and also to keep them balanced. Like I've said, okay, for example, the food chain that we just only did, which is plankton eaten by plankton eaten by a small fish, and a small fish is eaten by a shark, for example, right? So only when we understand, okay, sharks, they rely on small fishes for food, we would understand that, you know, in order for sharks to continue to exist, they need to have that I'm so sorry, source of food, so that they forever will continue to be members of the ecosystem, so that it keeps the whole ecosystem in check and in balance. Imagine if one day there's no small fishes, and sharks would or would not survive, because you know, small fishes, two sharks is one of their biggest food source, you know. So without that, of course, they would not to say they will just die overnight, but over time they will actually extinct. All right. So is that clear? So always remember, feeding relationship is what eats what in any environment. That's it. Okay, that's it. You have to remember. All right. Shall we go to the next one? Okay, so next one, producers. I'm sure all of you already know lah. What is producers? So easy, right? Okay, when you think of producers, you think about producing. Okay, so all food chains start with a producer, which is mostly plants. Okay, why plants? Is because plants are usually producers because they are able to produce their own food through photosynthesis. Okay, I'm sure all of you already know by now what is photosynthesis, but this is just a short recap. Okay, photosynthesis is a process in which plants, they use energy from the sun, which is light energy, to actually make their own food in a process called photosynthesis. When I say make their own food, no, they don't make like hamburgers, or they don't make like hot dogs. No, they don't do that, but they make sugar. You'll be wondering, teach sugar, really? Not to say sugar in what you find when you know want to add a bit flavor into your tea, not that, but glucose. Okay, plants, they need glucose in order to survive. Okay, that for them is their food. Okay, and they don't need fancy food like us, they just need simple food. So they use photosynthesis to produce their own food, so hence we call them producers. Okay, a quick question. Okay, are plants only producers? Can humans be producers? Okay, I'll give you all a few seconds to think about that and tell me the answer. Can humans be producers? All right, of course not. You know, like humans are consumers, not producers. Okay, so we cannot produce our own food. We'll be wondering, teacher, no, teacher, I can do my own peanut butter and jelly toast. Yes, you can, but where did you get the toast? Where did you know, get the jelly? Where did you get the peanut butter? You still have to go to the supermarket, and that's not what it means by producing. Producing meaning to say that you like start from the beginning, and that is not by just assembling. It's not the same as producing. Okay, class, don't get yourself confused. All right, let's go to the next important term, shall we? Consumers. All right. So I was saying this now also. Okay, we humans, we are called consumers as well as many other animals. Okay. Consumers consume other living things to get nutrition. You'll be wondering, teacher, why is it even necessary for, like, animals eat each other like this now? That same food chain we use, plankton is eaten by a small fish is eaten by a shark. Why is it so necessary that a shark must eat a small fish? Is because sharks can't produce their own food, so they need to eat other animals in order to get nutrition. So speaking about eating other animals, okay, let's recap on these three terms here. I'm sure all of you already know, but let's just recap because this is very important for your exam. Okay, herbivores, they eat plants only. Okay, here is the clue. Okay, you see the word herb here? Herb is a what class? Yeah, exactly. Herb is a plant. Okay, so whenever you see the word herb, you think it only eats plant. So it's herbivore, plants only. Very good. Okay, what about carnivores? Okay, carnivores, they eat animals, or in other words, they eat meat. Okay, they eat animals. In other words, they eat meat only. Okay, if let's say those students who don't eat vegetables at all, like at all, they only eat meat, then they are carnivores. Okay, last one, omnivores. They eat both plants and animals. Omnivore, they eat both plants and animals. Okay, very good. Yes, exactly. A human is an omnivore. You, me, and everyone listening to this are omnivores because we eat vegetables, we eat meat, unless if you don't eat vegetables at all since you were given birth until now. So like that means you're a carnivore, then that's different. Okay, a quick question, class. Why do we, like, humans and maybe animals, have to consume other living things? Like, what's the purpose? Okay, I'll give you all a few seconds for you to think about it. Yes, exactly. For us to get our nutrition into our body. Very good, class. Okay. Shall we go to our last term? Okay, very good. Decomposes. Again, decomposes. All right. Decomposes, if you're wondering, teacher, I don't see in a textbook so trust me, it is in a textbook. I've already asked you to highlight during class. So please take out a textbook, find the word decomposes. Okay. Decomposes are the last link of a food chain. Okay, decomposers are the last link of a food chain. It's not the top consumer that is the last link. That means, like, for example, okay, the same food chain that we've created in the ocean, which is a plankton is eaten by a small fish is eaten by a shark. The shark, yes, in books, in figures, the shark is the last link, but that is not what it is meant by last link. Last link meaning, where does it end up going? Okay, for example, one day the shark will eventually die, maybe out of natural causes or out of old age. So the body of that shark would be broken down by decomposers. Very good. What are decomposers anyway? They are either bacteria or fungi. Okay, bacteria or fungi. Okay. Decomposers break down remains of plants or animals into smaller parts. Always remember the word breakdown, okay? Because obviously, one day if the shark died, it would be a big body, okay? From that big carcass or body, it would be broken down into smaller parts, which will be eventually useful for the ecosystem. And that is how, until today, the ecosystem continued to thrive. Okay? Right. Okay. So far, so good? Not sure. Okay, never mind. We will do a short recap, shall we? Okay, let's just test your knowledge. Just a quick one, a quiz round. Okay, so for every question that I have here, I will set a minute for every question. So you have time to think about the answer. So the question is, there is a few pictures. You have to guess whether this living thing that is shown here, either a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer. Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm just going to show this and as well, okay, take a good look at this picture. Okay, let's start the timer, shall we? Okay, let's go. Okay, time is up. All right, so the answer is a producer. Very good. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, the next one. Okay, what about this? Okay, you have a good look at this picture. So, is it a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer? Let's go. All right. Okay. So the answer is a consumer. I mean, it's quite obvious. Yeah, the lion is actually eating, so it's a consumer. All right. Next one. Okay. What about this? A producer, a consumer, or a decomposer? Okay, time is up. All right. The answer is a producer. Very good because it is a plant. Okay. And common knowledge, plant is a producer because it produces its own Food, good. All right, let's go to the next one. What about this? Producer, consumer, or a decomposer class? Okay. All right. Okay, the answer is a consumer. Okay, last one, last one. Shall we do one more? Okay, what about this? A producer, a consumer, or a decomposer? Okay, let's go. All right. Okay, yes, it was a consumer. Very good. You got all five correct, did you? Very good class. Okay, now let's go. Okay, a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, let's revise on food chains and food webs. Okay, class. On my right here, is it a food web or a food chain? A food web, exactly. Okay, food chains, okay, they actually, the arrows in the food chain indicate what is eaten by what. I think I've numerously told you this, okay. The arrow in the food chain shows, okay, what is eaten by what. For example, okay, earlier we talked about a food chain in the sea, right? Okay, let's talk about this. All right, let's say plankton, okay, plankton is eaten by a small fish. Okay, plankton is eaten by a small fish. So this arrow here, okay, indicates that it is eaten by and the direction in which the food energy moves. Okay, so there's two meanings. Okay, the next important fact is what I want you to remember is a predator is the hunter and the prey is the victim. Again, a predator is the hunter and a prey is the victim. For example, okay, a small fish. A small fish is actually a hunter, maybe to other small creatures. But let's say we connect a bit the food chain here and then we add shark. Okay, so we add shark. Okay, so here, class, tell me who is the predator here? Yes, very good. It's actually the shark. And the small fish, it's the prey. Okay, very good. This is simple, right? Let's go to food webs. Okay, food web is actually made up of many food chains. All right, like what you see in the picture earlier. Okay, many food chains, when they overlap, right, they become food webs. Okay, why, teacher? Why do food chains overlap? It's because, let me ask you this, do you think animals only stick to one source of food for the rest of their lives? Of course not. Very good, class. Okay. Because some animals, they have similar interests of food, and that is how it overlaps. So let's remember, food chains overlap because animals have overlapping source of food. Very good. That's all for the lessons. Very straightforward, right, class? Okay, let's do a short test of knowledge, shall we? Okay, the question is, how many producers are there in this food web? Okay, you can have a good look here. Okay, let me put a timer. Okay, let me put a timer for 1 minute. Let's go, figure that out. All right, okay. The answer is four producers. Very good. For those who got correct, very good. Okay, can I ask the next question? All right, let's go. Okay, name one animal that is the top consumer in this food web. Okay, have a good look at the food web. Let's put a 1 minute timer. Let's go. Okay, very good. Okay, now the answer could either be an eagle or a python. Okay, both answers are correct. Okay, I got one question for you, but I want you to leave the answer in the comment section. Here you go. Fine. How many food chains exist in this food web? I know all of you hate this question because many of you will get it wrong, but I just want to do it. Let's do it for fun. So I want you to leave your answer in the comments section and I will reply those who got it correct. Okay? All right. So that sums up today's virtual clinic. I hope you had a good session. I certainly did. I hope that whatever I've highlighted throughout this whole session, you will remember by heart by now because this is what is very important in answering your checkpoint or maybe your mock checkpoint or your test of knowledge questions. Okay. But like I always say in class, I want all my students to be more smarter than the textbooks. Okay. Whatever I ask you to revise, you can always go the extra mile, find out more information. There's ample of ways for you to find more information, right? Nevertheless, I want to say thank you so much for listening through this whole virtual clinic. Like I was saying, if you want to find out any information, you can always contact me through my email, yvonne@sgis.edu.my. Okay, class? Thank you. Bye. See you later. Take care.